Thank you, fellow Rotarians, family of Rotary. I recognize protocol. I saw my very governor here. And thank you all for making the time to come to this evening. I know I will be competing with my dogs and some frogs. So if you hear frogs and dogs, I'm sitting outside somewhere. So please bear with me. Today I have the present duty and pleasure and a privilege to introduce a man I hold to the highest respect, a man I met in my Rotary journey as a leader, and he immediately began to impact my own life in very, very, very special ways. We met as governor trainees in America for the first time, and we became friends with Yinka Babalola, then district governor for a district in Nigeria. A man whom I have now come to realize is greater than his name, greater than his governorship. I can tell you that in his year as governor, he broke all existing records, both for growth of membership, for growth of the foundation giving, and for innovation. He raised the most money using the then BlackBerry phone, the way you use WhatsApp today. He comes from the Rotary Club of Transamadi, Nigeria, where he was obviously a past president. But more important for you to know is that he started his journey, like most of you here, as a Rotaractor. And having started that journey as a Rotaractor, he has gone through the ranks of Rotary to, without a doubt, now start as the most senior of all African leaders who are alive today. Yinka has served at the highest level of Rotary as a Rotary International Director for our zone. And beyond that, he served as the Vice President of Rotary, a distinction he alone holds as an African, the first African to ever hold the Vice Presidency of Rotary. Yinka has a distinct claim to fame. He told us in Africa that we needed to move from 20,000 members and that we can reach 50,000 members. And that dream, I can see it being realized. He is passionate about Rotary, growing membership, passionate about giving to the Rotary Foundation, among the very few Archcram Society members who have given of their own financial backing to Rotary Foundation. But more than that, he's a very, very down-to-earth person, a person full of wisdom, and a person, I can tell you without a doubt in my mind, who has taken Africa from one level to the next and is going to take this continent even to a higher level, even without any position. Whether you describe him as a past Vice President of Rotary or just Rotarian Yinka, I guarantee you that behind this man, with or without title, he makes things happen and happen in Africa. Yinka is my classmate and my friend, and above everything else, an extraordinary Rotarian. He's married to Pese, who is my friend, and he has young adults in his home. I won't tell you how many. In Nigeria, they don't count children. But please put your hands together and welcome Yinka Babalola. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric, for that introduction. I love that part of not counting the number of children, because the man once said to his friends that I'm done. I have 4 children and I'm done. And the old man looked at him and said, are you sure? He said, yes, I am done. Then the man called his wife I learned you have 4 children and you're having no more. And the wife said, no, I'm planning for 2 more. I said, okay, but the man said it's done. Anyway, thank you very much, Eric, for that introduction. And let me remind Eric that our first meeting actually was at our gates in Munyoyo before we went to the International Assembly. So Eric, you removed our friendship by 1 year. So you need to pay a fine for that. We've known each other for that long. Thank you very much, SK, as the president, charter president of the Rotary Club of RotaryJabali. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm so happy that you are where you are now with this project. Thank you, Kennedy. I'm not surprised that you are comparing this. And thank you very much, President Mercy. I'm not sure we have met, but I think we may have. So thank you for the Rotary Clubs of Jabali and Rotary Clubs of Embu Nouvelle for putting this joint fellowship together. Let me also acknowledge and thank very immensely PDG Jeff for joining us this evening. Good to see you again, Jeff. I can see that with COVID gone, some of the bears have disappeared. So good to see you, Jeff. And thanks, Azet, for joining this meeting also. We are all looking forward to your leadership in a few months from now. Thank you very much for joining. My dear friends, fellow Rotarians, I listened to Eric's introduction, and in fact, one of the, shall I say, promotions for this meeting. And I said, this is going to be an interesting stuff. But like Eric said, in fact, like Kennedy requested that we should look for a quiet place, a relaxing place. Let me tell you that I'm not in a particularly very relaxing place because I'm at the District Assembly of the Sub 9141, and I simply just took a space in the room to be able to attend this meeting. So like Eric, if we have some doors banging and some exciting people, some people excitedly wanting to say hello, please forgive me. I'm sure they will quickly find out that we are in a meeting. So thank you very much for letting me share this time with you. What I've learned from life, Rotary, and significance. It's a very difficult topic. But you see, it looks like simply asking me to tell a story. Let me tell you this. I'm the first of 6 children by my parents. And I'm also a third generation educated. In essence, it means at least one of my grandparents had a proper education. So I consider myself privileged ordinarily. Like many of you listening to me today, you're also privileged because you're able to join this meeting because at least you have access to the internet. There are billions of people who don't have that access. You see, when I went to school, my mother was a teacher. Let me start by saying that. So I went to school quite early, very, very early. And in those days, the schools you go to are public schools because the public schools were the fantastic institutions as they were there. Very few people go to private schools. But for reasons I don't understand, my father took me to a private school. I think he just wanted to let people know that, he's able to provide the best for a child as it were. With that kind of background and having gone through school, everything was well. Of course, a few times in between, things were difficult for parents, but those were just few times. You see, with all of that, finishing school, studying engineering, and almost being recruited from school by Shell Oil. It meant I never experienced 1 day of unemployment. I never experienced 1 day of unemployment. But you see, within all of that, I really didn't want to be employed, but I was persuaded to take the employment. Why am I going to? If you have that kind of background, the chances are you see life from a particular perspective. You know, I almost want to describe it like you probably will go through life floating, you know, just floating in the air because you've not experienced anything, you know. In fact, I told a story not too long ago with the Empowering Girls project that many of our clubs are doing now. I said, I'm over 50, and at no time did it ever occur to me that sanitary pad was an issue for anybody. That will give you the kind of environment I grew up in. It was never, I never thought it would be an issue because I thought it is so cheap, it's so available, everybody will have access to it. And these are part of the things I will talk about later with Rotary, what we're learning from Rotary. What have I learned from life? One is that, yes, you prepare yourself for things. Sometimes it works your way. Sometimes it doesn't work your way. Sometimes what you desire may not be the best for you. And sometimes things you feel bad about may end up being good for you. This is a Rotary meeting, but let me tell you one of those life stories. In Nigeria, when I went to secondary school, we had from 1 to 5, as it were. And this is a story I've never told in public. This is the first time. I was in Form 3. I was a normal average student, you know, coming from a place where you are given everything, where even as at that time, you can open the refrigerator and pick anything you want from it. I was just that person going to school because parents said go to school. But I was in a public school then, where there were certain rules and where you had to interact with students from every other place. I was taught to be honest. Being a Muslim, my grandfather was an imam. So we grew up learning that you have to be ethical, you have to be honest, you must have integrity and the rest. But there were certain things they did not tell us. They did not tell us to mind our own businesses, as it were. So as it happened, in my Form 3, final year exam to go to the next class. When the exam hall, final year exam, the last paper, the very, very last paper for me, I saw another colleague of mine who was copying. You know, he had this notebook and he was copying from it into his exam sheet. And instead of raising my hands up to call the attention of the invigilator, I got up from my seat, went to his desk and pulled the book off from his lap and said, "Invigilator, he's copying, he's copying, he's copying." And the young man simply said, "No, I'm not copying." And the invigilator came to us. I said, "Look at that, look at him, he's copying from the notebook." He said, "No, that in fact, I brought the notebook to his desk." I said, "No, he was copying, that I've even finished writing." So they took both of us to the principal's office. I said, "There's a case of cheating here, but they don't know who was doing the cheating." So I said, "Well, it's very easy to know, Madam Principal. I have finished my papers, and that particular topic, that particular exam question it was copied on, I did not answer it. So it's clear, and I finished answering the 5 out of 7 questions answered. You asked us to answer." The principal refused to look at it. You know the outcome of that event? The rule in the school then was, if you are caught cheating, you repeat the class. And the school management decided that since they had more patience to find out who was actually cheating, both of us were going to repeat the class. But I was told to be honest, to have integrity, everything. So why should Why should I repeat a class when I never cheated? Well, I got home, narrated the story to my parents. My father came to school, said all the things I said. The principal just refused to look. Because just checking the two exam sheets in her hand will have shown the story, but she refused. So I repeated that class. I was not a bad student. I was average, but I was not a bad student. I will score 60 in any subject as a minimum out of 100. But I was made to repeat that class. My father wanted to change my school, but I refused. I was only about 12 or 13. I refused. I said, I need to prove to them in that school that I was not a cheat and that I was unfairly treated. Well, I repeated that class. I changed from being an average student to a top student. I was so top that 1 year after, this same principal that made me to repeat a class was going to appoint senior prefects for the school. She led the process that selected me as the senior prefect. To be honest with you, as the normal average student I was before then, there was no way I would have ended up as senior prefect. I may not even have ended up as a prefect in the school. I would have gone through school, I would have finished my studies and just gone to university and everything. But that changed a lot of things for me. That wasn't the plan, but that was what happened. The first time I'm telling this story in public. So I carried that at the back of my mind through almost everything else I had done. Then I got to work. And you know, there is corruption everywhere. Corruption everywhere. And I said to myself, nobody, I will not allow anybody to steal money. And the senior colleague of mine called me and said, young man, you are looking for trouble. If you want to go far in this company, mind your own business. So you can imagine me who experienced what I experienced in secondary school, being told by a senior colleague, mind your own business. All because I said people should not cheat. It was almost like I didn't learn anything, but something changed in me. You know what my decision was? I shall not steal, and nobody shall steal under my watch. I shall not steal, and nobody shall steal under my watch. And it happened. People were seeking transfer out of my department at the point I became a department head, because stealing was not possible. I won't let you steal. The man told me my attitude should have been, don't be caught, or if you are caught, it's your headache. I said, no. You will not cheat under my watch. You feel like cheating, go somewhere else. What did I learn from all of that put together after almost 24, 25 years of working? I got to some of the top places working for that company called Shell Oil. And I chose to leave early. And you know what, my dear friends? I found out that all those people I knew who cheated, people who left my department to go to other places to go and cheat. Yes, they cheated. They seem to have gotten some financial success originally, but I look back and I really can't see what has happened to them. I'm not a Christian, but you see, I know the book talk about asking the sins of the Father from the word, where. And do people really think when they do some of these things? One of the things life taught me, I will not cheat, and nobody will cheat under my watch. And I can tell you, my dear friends, I am not a rich man, but I can cater for all my needs. All my needs. And when I go to bed and I sleep. In fact, in the lighter mode, I can see Margaret was in the room. In the lighter mode, there was a time there was a lot of insecurity around where we lived. And there were gunshots that my wife tapped me on the bed and said, "Can you hear that? That's gunshot." I simply told her, I said, "What's your problem? Did you steal anybody's money? Why are you worried about gunshots?" Sleep, my friend. I slept. I slept. But depending on your belief, life has a way of paying you back in many of these things. That I have learned in life also. Life has a way of paying you back. One way or the other. One way or the other. The other thing I would say, one of the other things I would say life taught me, which I could have actually said Rotary taught me, was that Rotary brought me at a very young age in contact with a member of the family who happened to be a Rotarian, who just started talking to me one day, I think in my second year in university. First year, as I was going to the university, he said, as you're going to the university, it's a different kind of life. You see, you cannot live life in a vacuum. You need a doctor as a friend this place, an accountant this place, a lawyer this way. You need many professionals around you who you can call friends. Because for everything you know nothing about, you must pay. But that having these people as friends may minimize what you pay for it. And I remember that day, he told me the story of a writer many of you may know very well. His name was Yinka. Yinka was writing his book, The Man Died, in the 1970s. And in those days, writers write using a typewriter. They will wake up and just go, they'll have a paper in the typewriter, just start to type as it comes to their mind. Yinka's typewriter refused to work. He will press the button will get stuck. So he cannot press another one. So he sent for the repairer, who was not in town. And he had to wait 10 days for the repairer to come back. The repairer came to his house, opened that typewriter, and just lifted the button up with his fingers. And the typewriter started working. And Yinka had to pay equivalent of £2 then, which was a lot of money. And he said to himself, is this all like just to use my finger to lift up something? That's why I've not worked for 10 days. And that's why I have to pay this man that kind of money. But he later realized that he was paying for knowledge he did not have. But after that time, anytime the typewriter gets stuck, he opens it and lifts it himself and continues working. So the other thing life has taught me is, for everything you know nothing about, you have to pay. And that family Rotarian member who is Rotarian told me that having the right friends may reduce your cost. That was his own approach to it at that time. My response to that was that I was going to read anything that was readable, because I thought if I had knowledge also, it may help me. So I will read anything. I will study anything. I'm an engineer, but I will study philosophy. I will read finance. I will do education. I will read anything readable, just to make sure that I have at least some basic knowledge. And that is one place you can never go wrong. I must confess to you, I've not done as well in the last 6-7 years as I used to do previously about the number of books that I read. But that is a recommendation I must give to you. Read, and no matter what it is. Even sometimes you are on a flight from Nairobi to Mombasa, and there's an in-flight magazine. Pick it up, and in that 1 hour, read it. You will gain something from that exercise. That's what that thing I learned from that. from life. Let me go to the Rotary part of this life of mine as well. You know, I told you my background and I could have been floating in the air. Rotary saved me. Did you hear the word I used? Rotary saved me. Rotary planted my feet firmly on the ground. I could not float. Today, I talk to some of my friends and I wonder whether they're on this planet. You know, you're listening to them and you say, does this guy know what he's talking about? Unfortunately, many of them are our decision makers. They're just floating. They have no connection with the reality of the world we are in. Rotary connected me with the reality of our world. I couldn't believe, for example, that there was somebody of my generation in my part of Nigeria who could not read and write. Because education was free and compulsory in my part of Nigeria. Until my Rotary Club decided to do an adult literacy project. And I said, adult literacy. I said, okay. So I was expecting enrollees to be people much older than me then. I was in my early 30s. I was expecting people like 40-year-old, 50-year-old who did not benefit from free education. But I was shocked to find 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds in adult literacy classes who could not read and write. Those are the kind of things which brought me down to earth. It made me also to value what I was given, to value what I got. Because I thought those things I got were normal. They were the things everybody should get, even if it were in different categories or at different levels. You know? Rotary planted my feet on the ground. I used to get annoyed when I see children on the streets of Port Harcourt. You see these children in the traffic, they are begging. They are with their parents sometimes, begging you to give them something. I used to see them as nuisance. But they will come and knock on your window. And I turn and say, nonsense, can't you go and find some work to do? But again, my club decided we're going to have our first female president. And that day, like we do about March, before the president goes to beds. So what are the things we shall do next year? And she talked about those children on the road. And I said, what about them? Those nuisance, don't let us waste our time with them. And she asked me a question, Yinka, do you really think if you call the mother of those parents and tell that woman, I guarantee you food, I guarantee you this money every month, allow this child to go to school. I guarantee food for this child also, and this education shall be free. Now, do you think the woman will tell you, no, I want my children on the streets? I thought about it. I said, wow. And by the time we did the needs assessment, it occurred to me, wow, I was not seeing life the way it was supposed to be. So everything Rotary I have done in Rotary has been a learning, has grounded me more, has made me to value life more. Even when my club started the microcredit project in 2003, Rotarians said, what will people do with 10,000 naira? There's no business anybody can do with 10,000 naira. We need to give people like 100,000 naira. And then 100,000 naira was an equivalent of, should I call it $50,000, $50,000 then. Almost 1 to 2. So what will people do with 10,000 naira? It's too small. And then this president told us, another president who Rotary must have grounded, said to us, he said, it is not a problem. Don't let us quarrel too much over this issue today. Everybody has to go home. Look at that woman that is selling oranges by your street. Look at that man that is selling cigarettes and the rest by your street. Look at that one that is selling vegetables. Make an evaluation of how much you think that business is. Look at that one that is selling kerosene in bottles and tell us how much you think that business is worth. And tell us whether if you stop that woman or man from doing that business, you were not going to get a fight. Of course, it was clear by the time we came back the next week. What we take for granted, what we use for one night of their matroma, is pure survival for other people. And my club has done that microcredit project from 2004 till today. One of those things Rotary showed me. Talking about life and Rotary, you know, in Nigeria, there was something we call the national service. It was mandatory for anybody who finished higher institution, either a college of education, a university, a polytechnic. You must do that 1 year national service. In that 1 year of national service, you are posted to a company or an organization where your new skills, what you learned in school, will be put to use in service of the nation. But there was also a 1 day every week, which they said must be for community service, as they called it. I was a Rotaractor. So when we got to the youth service, other young people were looking for ways of using that 1 extra day to make extra money. Because with corruption, it was possible to take your form to the officer in charge, pay a few naira, and you will sign off that you've done the community service. But that never crossed my mind. I called other Rotaractors together. And how did we spend our 1 year of that? Each weekday, or each day of that week that is for community service. We went to a home for the special needs children. And we decided we are going to teach them the basic sciences. So I remember teaching mathematics and physics, being an engineer, and people taught other subjects. And every time we go in there, and you see people were disabled, who could not walk, children who had one form of disability and the other, and they are studying, you start to understand that, yes, people with special needs are not necessarily deficient people. They are brilliant, they may be underprivileged. In fact, not too long ago, in one of these my Rotary travels, I arrived at Lagos Airport. And for some reason, somebody who answers 2 of my names, he answered Yinka Babalola, had committed an offense, an examination fraud, and the government is looking for him. So here is one Yinka Babalola, and the security service simply held me. I said, but I left the country only 3 days ago. You said you are looking for a man that has been away for 4 years. They said, well, I must come to their office. But while this was going, there was a young lady, beautiful lady, who was on a wheelchair, smiling at me. And I said to myself, if only this woman knows that what I need now is not a smile, she will just take this as a smile and keep it somewhere. I was just arriving from the train and I have to go and see the state security service. She was just smiling. She didn't talk to me. By the time they took me to the head of the security service at the airport, this lady was there waiting. She said, Oga Yinka, I'm sure you don't know me. I looked at her. I actually don't know her. But I have told Oga Sam that you cannot, see the way she said it, you cannot be the one they are looking for. I looked at that. So why can you say I cannot be? And you cannot be the one they are looking for. Just in case you don't remember, my name is Ellie from the Compassionate Home. You taught me mathematics as a copper, as a youth copper. She was actually in primary school then. And we were teaching the secondary school people. But she insisted she wants to be taught mathematics. I said, we don't have provision. We can't cope with primary school people. We can only cope with secondary school. She would sneak herself into the class. So what did I do? I decided that once every 2 weeks, I will come just to teach her mathematics. She's now a computer scientist, an IT specialist, and in charge of the airport. How she remembered me after almost 30 years, I just can't remember. I can't figure out what she did. But the point is this, she used a word that I remember till today. I have told him, you cannot be the person they are looking for. You cannot. She was certain. Whoever the person that thought that spent that time to do those things for me cannot have the capacity for fraud. Life takes you back one way. And I think that may take us to the story of significance. Do you want to be successful? Do you want to be a successful person? Or do you want to be a person of significance? First, let me put it this way. I think not every success, in fact, most successful people are unable to move from being successful to becoming significant, unfortunately. But all significant people are successful in their own right. I'm tempted to define or to put a definition that success is about using the resources that are around you in a way to benefit yourself. And resources include information, material resources, any other thing you can talk about. But putting them together, working very hard, being diligent, being prudent, but only for your own purpose, for your own benefit, to grant you some level of comfort. Many people call that success. And that is fine. That is fine. But to be significant, you need to move from using those resources for your own benefit. You need to move into using them to benefit other people. I see many people who are financially comfortable, financially successful. But you cannot by any way declare them as significant. Because there is no stories you can tell about them beyond what they have achieved for themselves and their families. They may have been able to send their children to school, send them to one of the best schools in the world. They may be able to afford some nice cars. They may be able to afford nice homes, but everything is about them. They are successful people. It's not easy to be successful also. You need to work at it. They are successful people. But you see, there are few of those successful people who have moved, transformed from being just successful to being significant. And that transformation takes place at different times for different people. According to our president, Sheikha Mehta, he said that transformation happened for Bill Gates at the age of 52, I think. He had all the money. He's very successful. But this is only just for me. Whatever people are benefiting from it is just to make me money. That's all. That's the only thing that drove what he did. Make money. He said, but the same thing happened to Warren Buffett, I think, almost at the age of 8. He woke up one morning and he called Mr. Gates, come. I'm giving you 80% of my wealth. Go and use it to do good in the world. That's the point, moving away from being successful to being significant. But according to Sheikha Mehta, I agree with him. For Mr. Shutterback of Facebook, it is happening to him at the age of 22. Allow me to tell the story of a lady you may all know in Kenya. Her name is Nina Enda, I think. She was one of the first set of Ashkelon Society members we have from Kenya. She's one of the clubs in Nairobi. Nina gave the Rotary Foundation $250,000. And as RRFC, I tried to look for Nina everywhere just to do what Rotary asked us to do. To tell her, thank you for helping us. One of those times I was in Nairobi, I learned Nina was in town and somebody managed to get her to see me. But luckily for me, we were just leaving the board meeting of one of the clubs, and I suggested to the president that they all come with me. The club of very young people, I think it was Lavington. And there were these young ladies who were part of the delegation. And one of them actually was saying to herself, why would anybody give away $50,000? Why? And I said, ask her. You've just seen somebody who gave it away. Don't whisper it. Just ask her, why did you give away $50,000? And she told her why she gave it away. She said, I have saved this money to send my son to school. But death took him. He's the only child I have. So what do I need the money for again? So let them go and use it to educate other people. And one of the ladies said, but there are many things you can use $50,000 for. Some nice shoes, some nice handbags, some nice wristwatches. And she said, I don't use handbags. I don't have one. And I have only 3 shoes. One of them is the one I'm wearing now. I can still see the lady looking her up to down. Is this woman crazy? Is this woman crazy? But I knew she wasn't crazy because Rotary has exposed me to people who give at this level. I have witnessed inductions for Ashkelon Society members. You can imagine people who have to become poorer by $250,000, $500,000. And then you invite them to tell them thank you, and they're shedding tears. You can imagine. You would think they are shedding tears because they've gone poorer. Yinka, what did you do to me? Did you hypnotize me? You've made me poor. No. Many times in their remarks, I hear them say things like, and thank you, Yinka, for giving me this opportunity to be useful. The man is poorer by $500,000 and is thanking me for giving him the opportunity to be useful. That is when transformation from success to significance happens. Significance is when people can talk about you, not only in the form of what you've achieved for yourself and your immediate family, but they can say what you have done or what others have achieved as a result of you. And allow me, Eric, I know you wouldn't like this. On a few occasions, I've been part of the foundation that Eric runs. In one occasion, I was at their weekend, one of those weekends that you run, Eric, and I listened to beneficiaries who have now made a life of themselves. I know over 50 people who call Eric and Margaret mommy and daddy, and I'm sure there's no DNA connection in any way. Is Eric a rich man? I know him. I know he's not a rich man. But I'm sure, even if he will not accept it, he has lived the life of significance. At what point in his life did that happen? Only him can tell. But there will always be a point in your life when moving from success to significance happens. Let me tell you when I think mine happened. I told you when I started working, I really didn't want to work for anybody. I have started the business dealing with medical equipment because I wanted to help people. Equipments were breaking down everywhere in Nigeria. And I was one of the first set of electronic engineers Nigeria trained. I thought this is a way I could help, even if I could make some money from it. But some people persuaded me, go and take that job. People are looking for that job. You need to learn copy this, copy that. So I went and I took the job. And for 5-6 years, I was unhappy. I wanted to leave. And I told myself, at the age of 40, I will leave. When I clocked 40, I wrote to leave. One of my Rotary mentors, the senior Rotarian, heard about it and called me, said, don't leave yet. I know what is going on in your mind. I know what is going on with you, but don't leave yet. Wait 4 or 5 more years, you can leave. And because he's been a mentor, I listened to him. And one day he called me, said, Yinka, if you want to leave now, you can leave. And I left Shell at the age of 44, 45, which many people will consider too early to retire, as it were. But you see, what really happened to me at the age of 44, 45, 43, 44 was a little different. Rotary made me a governor. I've always known I needed to do something, but Rotary made me a governor. With the role I was playing in Shell, being responsible for safety in Africa, I wasn't supposed to have time to be able to do such things. Funny enough, Shell was happy. And I'm saying this, Shell, I wish Patrick Obat was here. Shell was happy. This is another Shell man. Shell was actually happy. In fact, the head of Shell in Africa actually called me and said, are you really going to be governor of Rotary? I said, yes. At this age, I said, yes. She mentioned a few people in the US that she knew. I said, I know some of them. So, is it what they did you'll be doing now? I said, yes, madam. The company's rule was that I should apply for leave without pay. And I was prepared to do that. But she told the HR department, give him leave with pay. As you can imagine, the HR people, their eyes all went red. This woman is breaking the rule. I said, give him leave with pay. If I didn't take the leave, I was still working because I had virtual options, which they gave to me at that level, which is normally left for the board member, but they gave it to me to allow me to function. But you don't know what happened to me. As governor, I was visiting clubs. I was seeing club projects. As governor, I had told Rotarians to do something. I had actually asked them to pay attention to mental health because nobody was thinking about it in 2011. Just like not much is being done now, 10, 12 years after. And I was shocked that because I simply told Rotarians, go and do this, they were doing it and people's lives were changing. I was seeing the impact and I'm asking, hey, wait a minute. You mean just by being there and communicating this, so much impact could be made in people's lives? Just because Shell allowed me 1 year, all these changes could happen to people's life? I came back, finished my year as governor. And I said I was going to work extra hard for Shell, for giving me the opportunity to experience what I experienced that year as well. But every single day after I came back, I just felt I was wasting my time. But that was not the best way to spend my time. I was earning money. I had a good life. I had a good job. But I thought I wasn't really being useful to my world. Not to me. I was very useful to myself and my immediate family. I wasn't useful enough to my world. I thought I could do much more to make the world better than just being at Shell and answering some mail and earning some money. And I think at that point was when it was clear to me what success and significance meant. And when I took that step to leave, there were many who looked at me and said, are you crazy? How do you leave something this lucrative? But you see, they did not understand it. They did not understand it. Significance became what I was chasing. Were I to live, were I to die, what will happen? Will it just be one guy who walked in social place and had some children and died? Would that be it? There was this Indian philosopher, I think his name was Tagore. He said, when we were born, we cried and people rejoiced. That may we live our life in such a way that when we die, we will smile and people will cry. Only people who live a significant life can experience that. So my question to you is this. If you had a choice, my dear friends who are listening to me, to choose between just being successful or having some significance in your life, what will be your choice? I hope your choice will be to live a significant life. Thank you very much again for allowing me to share this time with you. God bless you. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much, Yinka, for that. We appreciate your words of wisdom, and I would like now to invite any questions. I'm just skimming through the chat to see if there are any questions that are coming through the chat. If you have any question, please drop it on chat or please raise your hand and we'll allow you to unmute. I see SK as a question. SK, you can go first.
All right. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, VP Yinka, for the 1 hour of very insightful advice. I want to ask a question that I probably have the answer, courtesy of a few years back, we spent a few evenings in Ethiopia. But I think one of my takeaways then was about what we call then elevating your game. And I think what PDG Eric mentioned earlier is you joined Rotary in your 20s. And if I remember right, it was out of a challenge. A Rotarian mentor approached you and gave you a challenge that you didn't want to chicken out of. So probably you could share that story.
Well, thank you, SK. And I think that story would be relevant for those of you who are taking the bold step to join Rotary at this point in your lives. Because you could have waited till you become more successful financially before you come to join. But you see, like I told you, I had a good job, I had a good life. I was single, I had a car, I was a Rotaractor. I was one of the best earning Rotaractors, so I had everything going. And I remember one day I went to my Rotary Club meeting as a Rotaractor. I went to the sponsor Rotary Club meeting and I parked my car. Of course, you know, for people like Eric, they will use a different car from where people like SK will use, if you understand what I mean. So I had one of those fancy cars at that time and I parked it. And while inside the meeting, the security guard came to me and said, come. Are you the one that parked that car? I said, which car? He said, the Nissan. I said, blue color. He said, yes. I said, please come and remove it. So I thought something was happening. So I went to the place. And the man was annoyed with me, security guard of the hotel. There was a Rotarian who had his Benz. I think it was a Benz 350 or so then, big, very big then. He was there, just waiting. And the security guard came to say, can you please remove this thing? People want to park cars here. I said, I looked at him. I should remove this thing. People want to park cars. You mean my own is not a car? But you see, what that did to me quickly, which is part of the Rotary stuff, was that I told myself, okay, so even though I was feeling great, this man has simply told me, you are not great at all. So what do I need to do from going from where I am now to a day when somebody can call somebody to remove their thing so I can properly park? And that was one of the drivers, actually. I wanted to be mentored. I wanted to be able to do something that I wasn't doing anymore. I wanted to grow. And I knew that where I was, growth was no longer possible because I was the one others were looking up to. They were saying, when I grow up, I will be like you. That's what they used to say. So there was nothing to look forward to apart from Rotary, which gave me that opportunity. Our Rotarians welcomed me and mentored me. And I'll tell you one of those stories, which I wasn't sure whether I told you then, SK. Just about a year into my Rotary membership, this Rotarian called me one Tuesday after my club is a lunch meeting. He said, Yinka, do you have land? I looked at him. Who owns the land at 27? I mean, at 27, you have cash as a young man. You are not married. I mean, your money is meant for the clubhouse, the girls, the booze, the jamachomas, the clothes. That's what your money is meant for. Who buys land at 27? So I told him, no, I don't. So you need to buy one. I did not even answer him. One day, the man came to my house. The rented apartment came to my house and said, Yinka, these are the documents to your land. It cost X amount of money. You will pay it back to me every month. As Shell pays you, you remove this part and give to me every month. You understand? I accepted the documents. And because the man worked in the industry, he knows when Shell pays. He will call me, Yinka, bring my money. So I'll go and give him something. 2 years after, he asked me again, have you finished building the house on that your land? Since he gave me that document, I did not even know where the land was. For me, this was just a nuisance. I said, no, sir. So the man came to my house another day. I did not even know where the land was located. I never found out. He took me to the place. He said, this is your land. Have you been here before? I said, no. He said, okay. I found a man that was molding blocks on the land. So I asked him, so what is this man doing here? He said, he's molding blocks for the house. I said, my house? I didn't ask him. I don't even have a design. What is he molding blocks? He said, well, it is for your house. So he put me back in his car, took me to his office, and gave me an architect to design the house for me. And the next money I gave him, my monthly subscription as it was, they started using to build the house. My dear friends, that's how I got the house I live in Port Harcourt today. And I've not finished paying the money. Because at the point he stopped asking me, I think he was just happy that I've done something good for myself. He stopped asking me. But I know I've not finished paying him. But if not for Rotary, that wouldn't have been the kind of things I would do. But Rotary refocused my mind at that point in time to something bigger than what I could see. It opened my eyes to something bigger, to something bolder, to something better. And I think, I'm not sure whether that is the part of the story I told you, SK, but if it wasn't, that is another one you had.
Thank you, Yinka.
Scam, I'm worried if we'll be able to share the recording of this meeting, because the person may listen and remember that Yinka has not finished paying him, and he may come back for his money.
No, I can assure you,
Yeah,
Kennedy, he won't come back. He's comfortable and proud to be able to point at me and say, this guy is my product. I think that matters much more to him than whatever that remaining money will be.
Thank you so much, Yinka. Any other question coming in? Anyone else who has a question? Yeah, I can see my good friend joining us from South Africa. Rex is here with us, and here's a good question. Despite all the good we do in the world, not everyone would support you. How have you responded to criticism through your journey? Thank you so much, Rex, for that question. Yinka, over to you.
Yes, there will always be criticism, no doubt about that. The first rule I tell people is this: if you are getting kicked in the butt, know for certain that you are in front of the person. You are ahead. That's the first thing you should understand. Will there be times your decisions may be wrong? It happens. But you see, like I've shared in many Rotary fora, if you are going to be successful, which is the prerequisite to being significant, you need to have 3 points of view. You need to have a teachable point of view. You need to have your ideas, which comes from learning and experience and the rest. You need to have the emotional energy, which you can find a way of generating. But you see, there's a third component that is very, very important: your values. You see, if your values are corrupt, if your values are defective, if your practices are unethical, no matter what temporary success you may experience, whatever you experience will not be sustainable. You need the values. But if you have all of these together, something still didn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, yes, you learn from it and you move on as it were. You see? But you cannot, because people will criticize you, not do the things that you need to do. Criticism sometimes is good because it helps you to recalibrate and say, wait a minute, would there be something to learn from what they are saying? And you pick it and you recalibrate and move on. That's all I think you need to do. But whatever you are doing, you must be certain that under the present condition, and if people are privileged to understand the basis of your decision, they will probably reach a similar conclusion to the ones you reached. If the conditions are different, you may reach a different conclusion, no doubt about that. But yes, you got to do what you got to do. And thanks, Rex, for joining. I hope you'll be creating a Rotary Club of, I think you're a drum member currently, Rex, as far as I can know. But I hope you'll be having a full Rotary Club like Ken and the SK are doing.
Yeah, thank you, Yinka. I believe Rex is a dual member of the Rotary Club and Rota Club of Bluebag. So thank you so much, Rex, for that. I wish to end it at that point and to appreciate Yinka for his time. I'll now invite Elvis Karaya to formally do the vote of thanks. And then after that, I will request that you accord us a few more minutes. I would like to invite, after this, to invite PDG Jeff Mumford to say hi, and DGE Azebasra to also say hi. So Elvis, over to you before I invite Jeff, PDG Jeff.
Thank you so much, President nominee Gaia, for this chance to move the vote of thanks. I would like to start by thanking the leadership of the Rotary Clubs of Jabali and Embu Novel Information for organizing this wonderful fellowship, all the members of Jabali, Embu Novel, our guests who have joined us, our family in Rotary and Rotaractor, and all our friends for joining us this Saturday. Specifically mention the PDG, Jeff Banford, DG Azebasrat for joining us this evening and for the wonderful leadership we're looking forward to. I would like to thank PDG Eric Kimani, who has been an astute and experienced guide as we plan to charter, and specifically also for his hand in making this fellowship happen. I would like to thank, most importantly, our guest of honor, the past VP of Rotary International, Yinka, for taking your time to be with us and sharing your insights on life in Rotary and on being significant. And as RSA will note, for keeping time well at it and for delivering it in very wonderful fashion. I say exquisite fashion because as you were speaking, it was very relatable to me. When you spoke about your cheating story, I remember that in my third form, I was in a similar situation where actually I noticed I was doing terribly in geography and decided to cheat because the best people who were cheating at the time were who cheated did well. And I remember that to date remains my worst performance in my academic career. I do not know how people who cheat do it. And also, when you spoke of your introduction to Rotary and how you became a Rotaractor, I remembered my own introduction to Rotary by a wonderful Rotarian who to date keeps challenging me. So I believe your talk was very, very relatable. It made us question our choices and how we live our lives. It was very impactful. I have noted someone in the chat saying that it's always a pleasure listening to you because you bring such wonderful insights. And thank you for challenging us to not only be successful in everything that we do, but also be significant. Thank you so much, Yinka, and may God bless you.
Thank you so much, Elvis. And one thing that probably Yinka didn't mention because of what I'm about to say is that Yinka is very humble. And I think that is one thing that everyone who interacts with Yinka will know about him. He's very humble. Sometimes and a lot of time I camp in his WhatsApp chat, and no day has he ever said no to me, and no day has he ever not spared a time or a minute to advise me on how to grow. So Yinka, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we appreciate your time. I'd like to also take this opportunity now to invite PDG Jeff Bamford to say hi to us. PDG Jeff, if you're with us.
Looked like Jeff left. I saw Jeff left at some point.
It's okay. I'll invite.
No, I haven't left. I have not left. My connection has been bad, but I'm trying to get it sorted. I have put my video on, although I can't see it myself. So I've been very glad to be here. I've also been very, I've enjoyed the evening very much and look forward to seeing the development of your club as you move forward. I'd also like to say thank you to my friend Yinka, because he's always one who puts a good story forward and is always truthful, as he said. So from my point of view, it's been a great pleasure to be here, and a very good evening to you all. I may get thrown out of here in a minute. It keeps telling me that my connection is poor, but at least I do get the opportunity finally to say hi to everybody. And I'm sure if you follow what has been said by Yinka, you will not go very far wrong. Thank you.
Thank you so much, PDG Jeff. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate your connection for allowing us the chance to hear from you. Thank you. I'll now invite our district governor-elect Azebasrat to say hi to us. DG.
And if the background I saw is one of Jeff's homes, Jeff, please be kind enough to invite me to the place. I like that background.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. My friend, Vice President, past Vice President Yinka. It's always good to follow you, to listen to you. PDG Eric, PDG Jeff, the Charter President for Rotary Club of Jabali Information. And I have been invited to come for the chartering, ceremony, which I'm considering. So I'm really happy to be amongst you when the time comes to charter the club. Kennedy, as usual, you are the inspiration as well for the young generation. When I heard Yinka this evening, saying that Rotary taught me about the world we are in, it is true. Most of us share with you that sentiment because, once we jumped into Rotary, we learned a lot about the world out there, whether we should be looking after ourselves or looking after others. That was a big message that you really share. And I think we should all be sharing our personal stories. Hearing you tonight and in other opportunities as well, there are some things that we can pick. And Rotary is our life. Rotary is our life story, our legacy. I think I always say that we have to take Rotary as our own legacy project so that we can really work towards serving others. And this evening I was reading something on the social media shared, and it was highlighting that when you have something good, you don't play with it. You don't take chances losing it. You don't neglect it. When you have something good, you pour into it. You appreciate it because when you take care of something good, that good thing takes care of you too. That is Rotary for me. So that was a good lesson. And I think we should keep our senior Rotarians, not by age, but senior Rotarians who have been in Rotary for long, to share their stories. That is when we are passing knowledge to the new generation, to the future leaders. So let's continue, sharing our stories. I thank you very, very much for inviting me to this, very interesting discussion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DGE. And I also missed someone special that I want to introduce so that she can also say hi. The Rotary Kenya country chair-elect is here with us. So I'd like to invite CC Ijimia Yasin to also say hi.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. It's a pleasure joining your meeting today. I think for me, it was an awesome experience listening again to our PRVP Yinka share his journey. I think most of us will relate with him, being we are also Rotaractors, and then we transitioned to Rotary. And for the same experience, yes, Rotary grounded some of us. And also I look forward to interacting with you more and also coming for your charter ceremony for Jabali information. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, country chair-elect. I want to go back to PDG Eric, who is our district governor special representative, if he has any comment to put in as we come to the tail end of the program.
Let me delegate that to my assistant who is sitting next to me to say hello. And that will be my evening, and say thank you to Yinka. So Margaret.
Friends and family of Rotary, good evening. Yinka, that was a very, very powerful message to our young people. Thank you very, very much. I was really honored to hear. I have been with you many, many times, but I have never heard your story. So for me also, it was very, very motivational. Thank you for availing your time. Thank you. I have nothing else to add except to tell you, past
Vice President that these people have demoted me from a governor to a DGSR, but I am happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, PDG. And we are also very happy to be the first club in the district to have a PDG as a DGSR. I hope that is now a standard setter, that how we will perform will be reflective of your leadership. Thank you so much. I'll now go back to our charter president, SK, to take us through announcements. And I'll also, after that, I'll also invite Lawrence Njuguna from Embu Nuval to share with us any announcement that they have. Thank you. SK, over to you.
All right, thank you, Kim. And thank you, VP Yinka, for spending the evening with us. That has been quite a Saturday evening, and I think it was a wise decision to move our fellowship today from a midweek Wednesday to a weekend where everyone is relaxed and can listen in fully. So thank you very much, VP Yinka, and all our Rotary leaders who have joined us this evening. We are honored to have had you. For RotaryJabali, we meet every 2 weeks on Wednesday evening, but today we had a special, so we moved it to a Saturday. Our next event, stroke fellowship, will be next Saturday. Will be hosted for a vocational visit at Palm House, which is PDG Eric's and Pastor Sister Gavata Margaret's business. So we'll spend a day with Eric and Margaret and their family, what they do on a day-to-day, how they've built their business, and basically a day for us as members of Jabali and friends to enjoy a social and have lunch with our club mentor and advisor. So next Saturday, 16th of April, from 10 a.m. To 4 p.m. One thing I'm sure that will not end at 4, but we shall leave town promptly at 10. I have just sent a link on chat, so kindly register on the link on chat. You can just copy paste that to your browser before Wednesday, so that we can confirm the number of guests we'll be expecting. So kindly register on the link before Wednesday. I think Wednesday is the 13th or thereabout. And you will be contacted by Elvis, who is our director of vocational service. So that's our next activity at PDG Eric's and Pastor Assistant Governor Margaret's home. Then our next fellowship after that will be on Wednesday the 20th. Again, we meet once every 2 weeks on Wednesday evening, except today when we're hosting RI Vice President. So next fellowship, virtual fellowship, will be on Wednesday the 20th. We start at 7:45 p.m. just as we did today, and we end at 9-ish. Generally, because it's hard to cut some good fellowships like this, so 9-ish mostly ends up being 9:30. So thank you very much. Before Embu Novels makes the announcement, the big announcement for tonight is Jabali is making its way to charter. And last week we had a full day board meeting. We spent last Saturday with the full board from 8 in the morning, I think, till about 5 or 6. And one of the agreements is that we have our charter party on Saturday, the 30th of July, 2022. We've started circulating invites. I think we had DG Azeb mention that. And this is now an open invite to everyone. Please, as early as now, 4 months in advance, block Saturday, 30th of July for the latest party you might have this year, or the latest party you've had ever in your Rotary life. So Saturday, 30th of July, more details will be availed as we go along. I think the most important detail is if you're willing to be an organizer or part of the organizing committee for this charter party, reach out to Melissa Akinyi, who is our director of Family of Rotary, or you could reach out to Gaia or myself or Mutia or Terrell, and we'll link you up to Melissa. So 30th of July, 2022 will be the charter party of the Rotary Club of Jabali, and we'll give you more details as we go along. And yeah, this is the journey getting more exciting. Santi Sana, over to Lawrence from Embu Nobel.
Lawrence? Mercy, if Lawrence is not available, Mercy. Okay, thank you. So I want to take this time to appreciate everyone for joining in and for taking their time. And I know that it wasn't easy rescheduling this meeting from Wednesday to Saturday, but we appreciate you for taking your time. And we want to just take this time to know that you are a Jabali hero this evening, and we appreciate you. You are an Embu Noval hero this evening, and we appreciate you. I'll now invite, if anyone is happy and would like to share happy dollars. I think I'm so inspired that today I won't bulldoze people into giving happy dollars. If you're happy and as inspired as I am, please feel free to unmute yourself and share or drop a chat sharing with us why you're happy, and we hope that then we can find joy in celebrating together. I would like to start by sharing 5 happy dollars. One to our Vice President for taking his time to join us and celebrating this evening with us and inspiring us. And then the other 4 for having 4 past district governors and future district governors in this meeting. We appreciate all of you. And I know you're wondering who is the 4th one. Yinka to me is also past district governor. So I'm counting him. That title will never end. So that makes us 4. So that makes $5 from myself. Thank you so much. I open it up if you want to share. And I want to do that in the next 3 minutes. So anyone who is happy or anyone wants to join me in joy.
I'll give 10 happy dollars.
Thank you much, country chair-elect. Thank you. So anyone else, so that we can wrap it up? Yes, Mutie?
5 happies from me. I think it has been a good session with our VIP Yinka. And also, most importantly, I thought Manchester United would be the only club losing today, but it seems Arsenal joined us. So 5 happies from me.
Thank you so much, Mutie. Allow me also just to recognize a chat that has just come in. Alice from the Rotary Club of Kigali City. We appreciate you for taking your time this evening to share with us. That officially makes this meeting having been attended by 4 countries. If there's any other country that I'm missing, please just mention it on chat. That makes it Rwanda, Nigeria, someone in South Africa, and Ethiopia, not forgetting Kenya. So that actually makes it 5 countries. Wow, what an attendance. Thank you so much. We like that diversity. Anyone else want to share happy dollar as I close it in the next 1 minute? Thank you so much, Hilda. Sorry.
Yeah, I would like to give 10 happy dollars for the wonderful, powerful message from Yinka, and also to welcome all of you on Saturday to Gedongori. Asante.
Thank you so much to our DGSR family. Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Hilda. from RC Hurlingham. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate you joining us this evening. Thank you so much, DG Azeb. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Thank you so much. So without blocking anyone, I wish to end it at that point and to appreciate all of you. And as usual, I don't know how your week has been, whether it was sad, devastating, challenging, difficult, happy, inspiring, fulfilling, satisfying. We hope that the last 1 hour, 30 minutes has made it different, has made it inspirational, and has made you different. We hope that our session today, by joining us for the last 1 hour, 30 minutes, you found pleasure in becoming different, in showing love and learning to imagine Rotary in a different way. Thank you for choosing to serve to change lives. In recognizing the leaderships of our countries, recognizing the presence of all the Rotary clubs present this evening, I give you to Rotary the world over.
Rotary the world over.
The world's over.
Rotary to the world.
Thank you, and good night. We have we call him the resident DJ. So if you decide that you want to enjoy a bit of